What's going on, everyone? Sierra Lord here. Welcome back to another Walking Dead Season 10 vlog. This is a preview for Episode 12 of Season 10, entitled Walk With Us. The description for this episode is, with Negan's help, Alpha and the Whisperers attack Hilltop. This is a continuation of the battle that we left off on the cliffhanger from Episode 11. Gonna jump straight in with some loaded previews. This episode is actually directed by Greg Nicotero. Oftentimes, the 12th episode of a season is directed by Greg Nicotero. In Season 6, the 12th episode was directed by Nicotero, in which Rick's group invaded the satellite station and there was that giant shootout. So, it's almost, in a way, a mid-season of a mid-season kind of finale. It has the weight of a mid-season finale, and I would expect big things in that department. So, I'm just going to run through some of the images that we got. The Talking Dead clip actually overlaps, interestingly enough, with the opening 4 minutes that was put on YouTube. I'm not sure if it leaked, but it was just kind of put on YouTube through the rotation of footage that comes out each week as an episode prepares for release. So the first image we have here is there's some great shots. I will just say there are some great shots that I have been checking out here. It is of the group, a bunch of survivors, basically using their metal shields to block the advance of the walkers through the gates of Hilltop. Now, we know from the ending of episode 1 that our group was trapped outside Hilltop, but it looks like they somehow make their way back in, and they are trying to stop this ginormous horde of walkers from coming in. And it looks like the Hilltop is a lost cause. Some of these images are not inside the Hilltop. It looks like the first maybe quarter of this episode is going to deal with the remaining battle of Hilltop with the fire. And then it looks like our group is going to run away. Very similar, people have been saying, to the prison from Season 4. After the big tank battle where everyone was split up. I don't think people are going to be split up for long. They at least know that they can regroup at Alexandria or Oceanside. There's at least 2 more communities for them to regroup at. So we got this little phalanx here trying to stop the walkers. Very, very brief shot of our group. There aren't any named characters in this shot, but it is certainly an interesting one. And we have a shot of Daryl here with the group looking onwards, trying to decide what to do. We have Eugene, and now this is also in the opening 4 minutes where he's looking at the fire that is happening to the main house, the main hub that the Hilltop is fenced around, and most likely he's looking up at the radio that's probably on fire. It's his one and only way to communicate with Stephanie. Luckily, he got the location from her before this battle went down. I hope he wrote it down somewhere. And I'm assuming that's why they did that. I'm assuming in last week's episode, he got that confirmation from her to meet up before this battle because they knew that Hilltop might be destroyed completely. I don't know if it's salvageable after this battle or they're just gonna, this is their way of saying, adios to a location that we've had since, the middle of Season 6 when Rick was introduced to the Hilltop from Jesus. And now after 4 seasons, we're finally gonna say goodbye potentially to a long-standing location. We have Carol, who is on the wall of Alexandria, Hilltop. And she's, in the preview clip, in the opening minutes, she's shooting walkers, basically the gigantic horde that's pouring inside. She's shooting walkers. I have a feeling she's looking for Alpha, is my guess. She's looking for Alpha's specific Whisperer mask so that she can kill her. We know that Carol is on a one-woman mission to kill Alpha and make her suffer. She said this multiple times. That's why she's made some of the rash decisions, especially in the cave. So that's going to be the theme with her in this episode. I do have many theories as to how I think this is going to go down. I'm going to save those for the end of the vlog once we get through these preview clips. Interestingly enough, we cut to some of the same screenshots that we've seen in the mid-season preview. We have a new image of Negan. So we did have this image before of Negan scraping across the battlefield, dragging not Lucille. This is the baseball bat that Brandon made for him. This is not the original Lucille. I think he would be hugging it and tenderizing it if it was actually Lucille. But we have this interesting shot of, it looks like a straggler crawling away, and then Negan goes up and smashes him on the back of the head with Lucille and kills him. Now, there's a lot of debate if Negan is actually with the Whisperers, if he is just a spy, if this is all for show, if he's secretly planning on betraying Alpha. Again, I will get to that at the end of the vlog. But speaking of which, Alpha and Negan chatting with each other, and Alpha says that she does not have everything that she wants. A couple people were speculating what that could be. My guess is one of two things. She wants Lydia to either get Lydia to turn her to a Whisperer, or to punish her for essentially 2 times now going against Alpha's wishes to command leadership of the Whisperers and join her people. Or Gamma. We know Gamma is the second turncoat Whisperer, and Alpha wants vengeance to kill Gamma. She thought that Gamma was going to be in her custody during the Beta invasion episode in Alexandria, but Father Gabriel chased Beta in the woods and emancipated Gamma for all intents and purposes. So there are those are really the only 2 things I can think of. Other than Alpha just wanting everyone dead in general, the 2 specific things with Lydia and Gamma, her 2 ex-Whisperers who have left her group, there's unfinished business there. That's what I'm thinking she's referencing, okay? And then we have the group, Rosita and Daryl specifically, off in the field, walking away from Hilltop. I don't know what the general goal is. I don't know if they're just trying to get back to Alexandria, since that's like the last big safe haven they have, or if they're trying to find something. Maybe this is like a cat and mouse game, if everybody in the woods is kind of just fighting each other, kind of like in episode 10 when Alpha and Daryl were fighting each other, and it's kind of just a free-for-all. I'm not sure if the same dynamic is going to take place. Now, we did see these images of Alden and Kelly in the car with the baby, and the walkers are pounding on the car. We've got Whisper Negan lurking in the woods. We also have that shot. But we weren't sure what he was looking at. And it seems from this image right here that Lydia is... I'm not sure if Lydia's wounded, but she's definitely using Henry's stick as kind of like a walking stick to limp away. Now, this ties into my theory. Is Lydia the remaining last thing that Alpha wants, that she doesn't have everything she wants? Lydia absolutely has to be in that plan. Negan says that he's going to try and get that. So that's telling me that there's a high possibility that's going to be the case. Let's see if we have this cool shot of Daryl brandishing a knife, opening a metal door. Not exactly sure where he's going, but he's opening a door. And I'm wondering 2 things. I'm wondering if there's 2 separate plots going on here. If there's something with Alpha going on with Negan, and if Connie and Magna come back into the picture, like maybe because of the dispersed walkers, they're going to be amongst the stragglers. Maybe they did disguise themselves as Whisperers. That was a theory I had in my reaction video for episode 11, that they disguised themselves as Whisperers and they're trying to hide and get back to the group. I'm not sure. I'm assuming in some heroic faction they're going to come back into the action, but I'm just not sure how yet. But that doesn't ignore the fact that we have some other interesting photos here. Again, and this is what complicates the picture, because we have Gamma on her knees looking towards the sky, and I'm not sure if she's about to be beheaded, shot, maybe possibly Lucille'd, because this is the other angle I was mentioning, that Alpha has unfinished business to deal with, Lydia and Gamma. And so we have two shots, Lydia limping away and Gamma on her knees next to a corpse on the ground. So definitely unfinished business. And Negan even confirms that he found what Alpha was looking for. And then we cut immediately to this scene. We talked about this scene before, where Alpha and Negan are walking towards this cabin. Now, what is to do with this mysterious cabin? So this is where the theory comes in. This is my theory. No, I have not looked at any spoilers, but this is just my theory based off of pure conjecture. So I think if you guys remember, back in the episode where Negan was still in Alexandria and he saved Lydia from those attackers, and he killed one of the attackers, and then the council with Father Gabriel was deciding whether Negan should be put down and killed because of what he did. Even, he was trying to protect Lydia, but still, this is a guy who was locked up for a variety of reasons because of the Savior War and everything that Rick went through with that. And so this is a big decision. Now, when Gabriel goes down to Negan's cell to make the decision, or maybe to talk to Negan to get his side of the story, Negan is gone. And it is not revealed that is still a lingering question we have not answered yet. Who let Negan out of the cell? They did not reveal that information to us. And if you guys say, it was probably Brandon, because Brandon got him his Lucille, Lucille 2.0. He made him a baseball bat with wire. And he retrieved his classic black leather jacket from some storage garage in Alexandria. Brandon, there's a very specific scene where Brandon says to Negan, "So are you going to tell me how you got out of that cell?" So that line, and that's a very specific line they probably inserted in the script to throw the audience off, because people would probably assume if Brandon is helping and aiding Negan, that's obviously the guy who let him out of prison. Not the case, because Brandon says that very specific line of dialogue, and it tells the audience that he is not the one who let Negan out. So that still begs the question, who done it? Who done it? Now, my theory, and I think all will be revealed in this episode, my theory is that Carol is the one. She's keeping more secrets from Daryl, and this goes in line with her thinking. She has done a variety of things thus far to ensure that she gets the kill on Alpha. She captured that random whisperer. She obviously ran after Alpha, and that's how they got stuck in the cave situation. She has shown that she will be as rash as humanly possible to defeat Alpha and the Horde. Remember when she tried to blow up the Horde with the dynamite, and that resulted in Connie and Magda getting stuck? Her actions have had repercussions, but I think she has a wild card, and I think she is the one that released Negan and said, if you get into the good graces of Alpha and basically act as a virus from within the camp and deliver her to me, then I will basically emancipate you. Like, you are free. We will not kill you for, for helping Lydia, the crime of helping Lydia or whatever. Basically, yeah, I will emancipate you of that crime, and you just have to do this one thing. So I think Negan's orders were, Carol gave Negan orders. Now, it's funny, I don't know if you guys know this, but Negan and Carol have actually never shared a line of dialogue together. That's absolutely crazy, but since Negan was introduced in the season 6 finale, he has not had a line of dialogue with Carol, because Carol was at the Kingdom during most of the Savior conflict, and then during the war, she was just never in the same spot. She was just never in the same area, section, spot to really be having dialogue. It was Rick and Daryl, like they were the two main people that had all of the conversations with Negan, especially Rick. I mean, Rick, it was that was the protagonist and antagonist, the main two characters going at it. And yeah, I mean, Negan interacted with a lot of people. He had, Father Gabriel he got to know very well, but he just never had an interaction with Carol ever. And they're two of the biggest badasses on the show, and it's just surprising to me. But I think if there was ever a way to get these two characters talking and interacting, this plot that I am offering conjecture on, I think this would be huge, because Negan would redeem himself, all of his actions would make sense, Carol would get her long-awaited vengeance, and maybe she doesn't feel anything, but still, this is what she's been hoping to do ever since Henry was beheaded and put on that frickin' spike. And I think the dialogue at the beginning of this preview clip where Carol says, "Have you ever wanted something so bad and got people killed and you have nothing to show for it?" I think Carol is in that dialogue, I think Carol is in a way taunting Alpha, saying like, you've killed all these people and you've wanted all of this, and what do you have to show for it? That's again my conjecture. After looking at these preview clips and breaking down these photos, that is what I think is going to happen. So the only other thing that can support my theory is another preview clip, basically. And it's a sneak peek clip, and Aaron in the sneak peek clip actually comes across Whisperer Negan in his Whisperer getup. And obviously Aaron is completely shocked, and he immediately takes out his sword and starts coming towards Negan. And Negan starts to shake his head, basically deny it. He says, "Well, Aaron, it's not what it looks like. I can explain." I think if Aaron basically is interrupting him, though, he keeps saying, "Stop, enough of your bullshit." I think if Negan was allowed to speak in that moment, he would have revealed what Carol's plan was. But obviously Aaron is a little overwhelmed by the fact that Negan is wearing a Whisperer mask, and he's not really thinking rationally. So I think this clip further supports my theory, because Negan obviously has a very, very specific plan, and he basically needs things to go a very, very certain way. Now, it's cool in this clip because Negan stops talking, and because he has the Whisperer mask on, the walkers walk right past him and go towards Aaron. Interestingly enough, another angle of this clip is that Luke, a character that we haven't focused on too much, I'd say, is actually injured on this metal plank. And I'm assuming that maybe a piece of debris or something fell on him from Hilltop, and I'm assuming this is maybe a casualty of the war. I don't think he's going to die, but I definitely think he's a casualty of the war. And so Negan doesn't stick around in this clip. He takes off. Aaron is basically left alone to fight these walkers, but they confirmed in the last episode when Daryl saw the tree that was down in the middle of the road, he said that this was Negan, and he already put 2 and 2 together that Negan was with the Whispers. But again, I still say that there's an angle to this, and it comes from... It can all be traced back to who let him out of prison. Okay, the whodunit, who let him out of prison. In the comics, it is Brandon who lets him out of prison. They basically, Brandon's the same kind of character. He's a Negan fanboy. It's different in the show because Brandon's parents in the show were actually saviors, and so he's the child of 2 saviors who were killed during the war. But in the comics, one of his parents was killed. He blames Rick. He actually gets into a fist fight with Rick in the comics, and then he, out of spite, thinks he's doing a disservice to Rick and actually lets Negan out to spite Rick. So it's a little bit different, but I still, even in the comics, there was this element of not knowing what Negan was doing, because Even in the comics where, big spoiler alert, when Negan cuts off Alpha's head, kills her, there's a real question mark as to whether Negan was going to become the leader of the Whisperers, or if he was going to deliver the head to Rick and try to offer himself up as someone who was trying to help. The latter ended up being true, but in between the months of when the comic issues were coming out, there was real question marks as to where Negan's alliance was. Like, when the King and Queen comic issue came out, where he's holding Alpha in an embrace, was that truly, no one knew. No one knew if it was actually an alliance or if it was just bullshit. So there was a lot of angles to this. And I think that, obviously only time will tell, but I think my theory is, not the correct theory, but the most logical thing. And most of the comments I'm seeing on the video of the sneak peek especially seem to agree with me. So, other than the opening minutes where there's a battle scene, Ezekiel's leading the children away, as was his responsibility that he's discussed with Daryl in last episode. Not too much. I don't want to spoil too much of the battle. I'll get to that, obviously, when I get to the reaction video. This week's episode is going to be absolutely wild. I cannot wait for it. The fact that, it's a Greg Nicotero directed episode, and that this is the follow-up to the battle, and there's all of these angles. It's just jam-packed. It's jam-packed, it's overloaded, and it's a very, very exciting time to be following the show, just in general. So I hope you guys are excited, and be sure to comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what your conjectures are, and we'll pick this up Sundays for the reaction, and maybe one more vlog based off of some outside news that I heard about the Rick Grimes movies. That's another exciting vlog that I might try to have up towards the end of the week, if there is some space, because so far I've just been doing the preview vlog and the reaction that has the review warped into it. So maybe I can try to divide the content up. We'll see. But for now, signing off. Thank you guys, and be sure to comment, rate, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Peace.